Far to the north, at the very top of our world, lies the Arctic, a vast frozen kingdom of ice and snow, stretching as far as the eye can see. This is a place of extremes, where the sun barely rises in winter and never sets in summer, and where life has adapted to some of the harshest conditions on Earth. For thousands of years, its immense ice sheets have acted as a giant mirror, reflecting the sun's heat back into space and helping to keep our planet cool and stable. The Arctic has been Earth's natural air conditioner, regulating temperatures for the entire globe. But now, this ancient shield is cracking, its once solid surface breaking apart under the strain of a warming world. The Arctic is warming at an unprecedented rate, twice as fast as the rest of the planet. The changes here are happening faster than anyone predicted. Each summer, more ice melts than winter can replace, leaving the Arctic with less and less protection every year. This is a rapid transformation, sending ripples across the globe and affecting weather patterns, ocean currents, and ecosystems far beyond the polar circle. When land-based ice like Greenland's massive glaciers melts, the water flows into the sea, raising global sea levels and threatening coastal communities everywhere. Scientists have watched this process with growing alarm, documenting the changes and warning of the consequences if the melting continues unchecked. Rivers of meltwater, once locked away as solid ice, now pour into the North Atlantic, carrying with them the story of a changing climate. This relentless addition of water is reshaping coastlines, flooding homes, and challenging our way of life in ways we are only beginning to understand. What happens in the Arctic does not stay in the Arctic. Its fate is intertwined with the rest of the world. The world's oceans are connected. A change in one part is felt everywhere, as currents carry the effects of melting ice to distant shores. Melting ice in the north raises sea levels in the south, a stark reminder of our planet's interconnectedness and the shared challenges we face. As the bright, reflective ice disappears, darker ocean and land absorb more heat, creating a dangerous feedback loop. More warming leads to more melting, and the cycle accelerates. This cycle pushes the Arctic toward a tipping point, a threshold beyond which the changes may become irreversible. The steady rhythm of the seasons is being disrupted, affecting not just the landscape, but also the animals and people who call the Arctic home. The Great Thaw is not a distant problem. It's a clear and urgent signal that our world is changing before our eyes. The fate of the Arctic is tied to us all. Our choices and actions will determine what happens next. Our response, how we adapt, how we protect, and how we innovate, will shape the future of the planet for generations to come. Across the vast Pacific Ocean, atoll nations like Tuvalu, Kiribati, and the Marshall Islands face a starkly different but equally urgent threat compared to other regions. These remote island countries, scattered like tiny jewels across the sea, are on the front lines of a crisis that threatens their very survival. These islands, rising just a few meters above sea level, are breathtakingly beautiful, gems of the ocean, surrounded by turquoise waters and vibrant coral reefs. Yet, their low elevation makes them incredibly vulnerable to the forces of nature. For generations, the ocean has been their world, providing food, culture, and a deep sense of connection. Fishing, gathering shellfish, and playing by the shore are woven into daily life and tradition. But now, the rising sea threatens their very existence as waves creep ever closer to homes and fields. High tides and king tides, once rare and remarkable, now flood homes and roads with alarming regularity, disrupting daily life and damaging vital infrastructure. Saltwater seeps into precious freshwater supplies, poisoning crops like taro and making it harder for families to grow food. Farmers struggle to adapt as their fields become unusable. Stronger storms and relentless waves erode coastlines, washing away beaches, toppling palm trees, and leaving scars on the land. The very foundations of these nations, homes, roads, and sea walls, are being dismantled by the encroaching ocean, piece by piece. Watching their homeland shrink beneath the waves brings constant anxiety and heartbreak to families who have lived here for generations. In some places, entire villages have already been forced to relocate inland. But on a narrow atoll, there's only so far to go before the land simply runs out. Eventually, there is no more land to retreat to, just the endless ocean on all sides. The threat is not just the loss of land, but the loss of a nation, a culture, and a unique way of life that has thrived for centuries in harmony with the sea. This is not a distant future. It's happening now, as families watch their homes and memories disappear beneath the water. The people of the atolls are on the front line of climate change, raising their voices and calling for urgent action from the world. Their homes may become uninhabitable within their lifetimes, forcing them to make impossible choices about where to go and how to preserve their identity. The world is watching as their struggle becomes a warning for us all, a reminder that the fate of these islands could one day be shared by many coastal communities around the globe. Rising seas are not just about melting ice, they're about people. For islanders, land is identity, history, and future. Losing it means losing a part of themselves. The threat is emotional and spiritual, not just physical. Every storm, every high tide brings fresh anxiety. Parents worry about their children's future. Will their culture survive? Elders watch as familiar landscapes vanish beneath the waves. Saltwater ruins crops, making agriculture nearly impossible and increasing reliance on expensive imports. Infrastructure is constantly damaged, straining small economies. Tourism, a vital income source, is threatened as paradise drowns. The greatest cost may be the loss of sovereignty. What happens when a nation's territory disappears? Island nations could become the world's first climate refugees, scattered across the globe. This is a profound injustice. Those who contributed least to climate change pay the highest price. Their story is a call for global responsibility. Climate migration is no longer an abstract concept, it's a reality unfolding before our eyes, affecting millions across the globe. Take the story of Ioana Te Tiota from Kiribati, who sought asylum in New Zealand, arguing that rising seas and relentless flooding threatened his family's very survival and future. Although his case was ultimately denied, it sparked a worldwide conversation and drew global attention to the plight of climate refugees, people forced to move not by war, but by the changing climate. The United Nations has since recognized that people shouldn't have to wait for disaster to strike before being protected, highlighting the urgent need for new international policies. On the Carteret Islands, entire communities are now relocating to Bougainville, as their low-lying atoll is slowly swallowed by relentless sea level rise and saltwater intrusion. These families leave behind not just their homes, but also ancestral lands and sacred sites, facing the deep grief of losing both their heritage and their sense of identity. These stories are just the beginning, the leading edge of a much larger wave of displacement that is expected to grow as climate impacts intensify. Former Kiribati President Anote Tong has become a global advocate for migration with dignity, working tirelessly to prepare his people for a future abroad while raising awareness worldwide. Climate migrants are not just exiles, they are pioneers forging new paths in an uncertain era and showing remarkable courage in the face of adversity. Their resilience, hope, and dignity challenge the world to respond with greater compassion, understanding, and solidarity. Their journey is both a warning and a lesson for us all, a call to action to address climate change before more are forced to leave everything behind. As the crisis deepens, some scientists are exploring geoengineering, large-scale interventions to counteract climate change. Geoengineering falls into two main categories. Carbon dioxide removal aims to pull CO2 from the air, using forests, machines, or ocean fertilization. Solar radiation management seeks to cool the planet by reflecting sunlight, such as injecting aerosols into the stratosphere. These ideas are controversial and risky, but some see them as a potential emergency brake if climate change spirals out of control. Small-scale experiments are already being debated. For island nations facing imminent inundation, a fast-acting solution is appealing. Geoengineering offers a glimmer of hope, but also raises profound questions. Can we safely control the climate we've already disrupted? The stakes could not be higher. The most discussed form of solar geoengineering is stratospheric aerosol injection. Inspired by volcanic eruptions like Mount Pinatubo, this method would use aircraft to release reflective particles into the stratosphere. The goal: quickly lower global temperatures and slow the melting of polar ice. For low-lying nations, this could buy precious time to adapt. The technology is within reach, and the cost is far less than unchecked climate change. But the simplicity is deceptive. Once started, such a program would need to be maintained for centuries. Abruptly stopping could trigger rapid, catastrophic warming, termination shock. Future generations would inherit a planetary life support system with no easy off switch. The risks are immense, and the consequences unknown. Is this a solution, or a dangerous gamble? Geoengineering sparks fierce debate. Supporters argue we need a plan B as emissions cuts lag and climate risks grow. Critics warn of unintended consequences, altered weather, damaged ozone, and global side effects we can't predict. Who decides to deploy such technology? The potential for conflict is enormous. There's no global treaty or institution to govern these powerful tools. The moral hazard is real. The promise of a quick fix could undermine efforts to cut emissions. Geoengineering masks symptoms, not causes. It doesn't remove CO2 or stop ocean acidification. It could distract us from real solutions. The risks are planetary, and the responsibility is collective. The debate is not just scientific, it's ethical, political, and deeply human. Even as the waters rise, island nations are not passive victims. Their story is one of resilience and innovation. Pacific communities blend ancient wisdom with modern technology, planting mangroves, reviving traditional agriculture, building seawalls. Youth activists raise their voices globally, demanding climate justice and sharing their stories. Their message: we are not drowning, we are fighting. Efforts to preserve language, culture, and knowledge are acts of defiance against the encroaching sea. Cultural centers and documentation projects ensure heritage endures, even if the land is lost. The spirit of the people remains unbroken. Their determination inspires hope. Their fight is for survival and for the world's conscience. The fate of the Arctic and the atolls is a mirror for us all. The challenge is daunting, but hope is an active commitment to change. We must rapidly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to clean energy, protecting nature, and rethinking consumption. Geoengineering debates must not distract from this essential task. Wealthier nations have a moral duty to help vulnerable communities adapt and migrate with dignity. This is not charity, it's justice. The story of our planet is still being written. We have the knowledge and ingenuity to address this crisis. The resilience of islanders shows us what's possible. The future is in our hands, if we choose to act together.